Hey everybody, welcome back to Northernlion plays The Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus. We're taking a little break from our usual programming of Fortnite Season 2 leaks. What could the black hole possibly mean? To play a little bit of this roguelike that not that many people are familiar with, called The Binding of Isaac. HWGELLCW. Is spiced. Let me tell you right out of the gate, the spice factor on this one is 2 chili peppers. Okay? It's not 4 chili peppers. Sometimes you boot up the menu at your local restaurant. Why did I call it boot up? I don't know. Because I'm a millennial pretending to be a boomer who relates more to Zoomers than any other generation. So as far as I'm concerned, when you wake up, you boot up. When you shower, you boot up the shower head. You get the idea. You know, sometimes you look at the menu at a local restaurant, you see is chicken teriyaki, no chili peppers. This is actually a bad start because there is not really that much Japanese food that's spicy to begin with. Taco wasabi, 2 chili peppers. Then you see some kind of nuclear option. Dolsat bibimbap with extra gochujang, 4 chili peppers. You gotta know what you're getting into. You know, it's all this talk about chili peppers. You guys use the website ratemyprofessor.com? To me, that is still, first off, one of the most, especially as an adult, you know, taking night classes. If you're taking 1 class a semester, that's the most useful class of all time. You're in high school, what are you gonna do? Hey, I got Mrs. Robinson for science class. She's only got a 3.1 out of 5 on ratemyteachers.com. Okay, but what are you supposed... You can't do anything else. You're stuck. But if you're an adult and you actually have control and choice over, you know, which class you're going to take, you got 2 options for Intro to Java. One of your professors has a 2 and one of your professors has a 4.8. Which one do you want to go with? It's pretty clear, right? I'll take it. I'll take it. I'm not a huge fan of it, but there's not much we can do about it with our current situation. But Rate My Professors is just, I'm telling you, it's the year 2019, at least for another couple of months. If you're on the brass at ratemyprofessors.com, you gotta remove the chili pepper, okay? It's just... I get it, you know, that's a website that's from an earlier time. You know, it was when Hot or Not was like the 4th biggest website on the internet. You know, it's like when the internet at large was like YouTube was in like 2012. You could like go from 0 to like the 6th most popular entity on the entire platform in like a couple of months. Just say, hey, check out what's in my refrigerator. Yeah. I'm Tom Refrigerator. I made the refrigerator video. It went viral. Now I have a multi-million-dollar career in media. That's what the internet was like back then. But the chili pepper now, come on. They're educators. They're not models. I'm going to tell you, there's a right and there's a wrong answer, okay, to the question I'm about to ask. If 2 professors had an equal rating on Rate My Professor, 1 had a chili pepper, 1 didn't. If you willfully choose the teacher with the chili pepper if you go out of your way to get into the chili pepper class instead of the non-chili pepper class, you're not gonna like what I'm about to say. It's a bit of a value judgment, but you know what else is a value judgment? The chili pepper, to begin with. Kind of a scumbag. That's all I'm saying. I'm just throwing that out there. You might disagree with me. You might not. But, you know, thank you for the bombs. I'm extremely gracious and grateful. Now we can start to build something here. Don't forget about that Eternal Heart. Don't push it. Don't push it. You pushed it. What? Did you see that? It was a free agent. Let me out. Where do you go? Okay, there we go. Beautiful, beautiful situation. look, if you're like, you know, 16 years old, don't take what I'm saying too harshly. But if you're like my age and you're like, nah, I'd rather have the teacher with the chili pepper, you gotta reevaluate your priorities in life, brother or sister. You gotta, you know, there's nothing wrong with the, you know, appreciating human beauty, but at the same time, are you there to learn? Or are you there to ogle, you know, Professor Gary or Professor Jennifer? By the way, in case you have no idea what the heck I've been talking about, Rate My Professors is a site where students can rate their professors, and then other students can look and be like, ooh, yikes, don't want to take that class. That should have cleared that up earlier, probably. That's my mistake. But they also they do have a second modifier, which is, hey, is your professor physically attractive? If so, you can click on this chili pepper and then let other people know this is a chili professor. So that's, I'm just saying. I mean, in my personal opinion, it's beneath you, Rate My Professors. You provide a service, but that part, it doesn't really go too far. You know, I should have let you have it. I can't play the blood bank anyway. But it's just unnecessary. You know what I mean? It's beneath you as a semi-serious entity to have that chili pepper on there, in my opinion at least. Okay, appreciate that. I think we will try this, and obviously now we should have done it earlier, but it's not that big of a deal. This is the last piece of the puzzle we need here is a good deal with the devil. If we can get a damage driving deal with the devil, everything on this run has basically come together. Very early, in fact. But anyway. The other thing, you know, Rate My Professor is kind of like, you know, customer reviews of like Yelp reviews of restaurants, or, you know, customer reviews on Amazon. You gotta read them. You can't just look at the score. Because, you know, yesterday, I was, you know, I had to buy some more creatine. The bit is not, okay, so you work out, ha ha ha. The bit is, it's very essential here. On the bottle, the jug of creatine, it says 60 doses. 60 days worth of creatine inside of the bottle. One of the top reviews gave it a 1 out of 5 and said, do not buy this product. The bottle looks big but is half empty. I gotta tell you, it's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. When you buy a bag of potato chips at the store, well, might as well, right? When you buy a bag of potato chips at the store and you go, whoa, that's a big bag, and then you open it up and the bag's half empty, I understand why you would feel slighted from that situation. If you buy, you know, you have like a prescription and it's like your doctor's like, hey, there's 90 pills in this thing. Hey, I think we'll take this. You know, when you get the bottle, it doesn't matter how big the bottle is, there's 90 pills inside of it. It's like, who cares about the size of the bottle? They're not actively trying to mislead you. It literally says how many doses are on the bottle. It's the same thing. I've started to, you know, be much more skeptical of user reviews of, you know, I've always been skeptical of user reviews of movies and music and video games, especially video games, but then secondarily movies. I don't know what it is about games, but people feel the need to correct scores when it comes to games and movies. But, you know, I feel like with restaurants, it's never been the case where people are like, well, it had a 4.5 stars, but I thought it was only a 3 star, so I gave it a 1 to balance out the average. I feel like it's much more like in games, people are like, well, the user reviews say it's like 8.5, but I only think it's a 7, so I gave it a 2 to balance it out. But anyway. But, you know, I've been seeing so many restaurant reviews, not from real review entities. Excuse me, can I please have some damage? Just from randoms on Yelp, you know? I realized people are very I don't know. People think that I am grumpy. I'm a curmudgeon. It's not the case. I'm like in real life. I'm like the most easygoing guy of all time. I'm up there at least. I'm not quite at McConaughey levels, but sometimes I'll complain about stuff after the fact. But during the fact, I'm like, you do you. If I order something at the restaurant, I'm like, hey, can I have the T-bone steak? They're like, sure. And then, when the meal comes out, they're like, oh, sorry, we ran out of T-bone steak. Here's a, French onion soup. I'd be like, you know what? Maybe this is the universe's way of telling me I should give this French onion soup a try. It's not going to ruin my day. But I see other things like, these are just hypothetical examples. I'm sanitizing them, but it would be like, well, the waiter came by and he gave us bread. But then when we finished our bread basket, he didn't give us any more bread. So I'm going to give the place 1 star. And I'm like, really? You're gonna put the hit out on this local business because you only got to eat 3 rolls with your dinner? That's just too much. I feel like and this is actually perhaps just the internet in general. I think it was a great democratizing force. It used to be, because, I grew up in the 90s and the early 2000s. It used to be like the only people whose voices would be heard were like, so-called important people. Media personalities, politicians, officials, etc., etc. That is no longer the case. Now, absolutely everybody's voice can be heard, and there's been some good things about it. I think for like a few years, people were like, wow, this is amazing. And now people are coming to the realization, slowly, that a lot of people can't be trusted to... Can't be trusted. Just full stop to give an opinion that actually makes coherent sense. Maybe I'm just saying that because it's election season in Canada, though. I don't know. I'm begging you for a damage upgrade here. Like, I want to use a review of the... I still... The creatine one threw me for a loop. Because I'm like, it has the mass on the side of the package. Why are you using this antiquated, the size of the bottle equals the... You don't need to take more creatine. It's the scoop inside of it is like the size of a little thimble. You're good. You're gonna be fine. That's why, honestly, the trusted reviewer system, that's the ticket. It's the same with Rate My Professors, by the way. I'll tell you, I've rated a few professors on Rate My Professors. I have had professors that have had very poor ratings on Rate My Professors. And, I've never really thought that, oh, hey, this person deserved a 5 out of 5 and the golden chili pepper. But, for some reason, they only have a 2. There have been times I've had professors with like a 2. And when I take their class, I'm like, look, I get why they have a 2, but they're like a 3.5. Like, I took one class... and every review for the professor was like exactly the same. They were like, the class is too hard. And, when I took the class, it was not easy, but at the same time, I realized the reason that a lot of people think the class is too hard is because they haven't taken the prerequisite. On day 1, the professor goes like, hey, so like if you haven't taken this class, you really should if you want to do well in the class that we're taking right now. And then he's like, how many people have taken this class? And like 25% of the class holds up their hand. And then for the rest of the year, they're like, I have no idea how to even open the command line. And he's like, well, you should have learned that in the earlier class. Just hit me, dude. Like, let me out of this room. I'm dying. Just go ahead. Here's our new strat. We're using... Please, bombs. I'm begging you for some bombs. Give me blue candle or something then. We got enough money. We can let it ride. Anyway, I'm just saying. I'm not saying, if you have a dissenting opinion from me, you should not be allowed to say it. All I'm saying is I've gone through a great education when it comes to user reviews and social media, which is you gotta, we're raised to believe that, everybody has an opinion. And that's obviously true, if you've ever been on Twitter. Oh, we should have 2 of diamonds earlier, but not a huge problem. But I think that, we kind of lose sight of the fact that are all opinions equally valid? Not everybody's gonna like this, but just give me a second to dig myself out. No, not all opinions are equally valid. think we have to try, because it could be a DPS upgrade in the future. Some opinions, I'm sorry to say, are just not as valid, you know? My opinion on, you know, the efficacy of, you know, iron alloys for bridge construction are not as relevant as somebody who has an education in the field. You know? Your opinions on the Binding of Isaac's item balance are not as relevant as mine. I've done my time in the trenches, you know? We all have different areas of expertise, but, you know, not everyone's opinion is on the same level. Which is to say, everyone has valid opinions, but not everyone has valid opinions about everything. Maybe that's a more polite way to say it. There might be people out there with no valid opinions, but I don't think I've ever seen them or met them. But, you know, it's something that has been helpful in, you know, in this business. I think, you know, YouTubers, they get a lot of flack. They catch a lot of heat from the comments. Same with streaming. That's why you gotta, I really advocate, like, knowing who's writing a comment, you know? Somebody writes something that's particularly horrible, you gotta look at their post history and be like, does this person make a habit of writing hateful stuff? Maybe how? Sorry, Tomo, I didn't mean to wake you up. You're gonna give me 2 Curse of the Towers on the same floor? Have you lost your mind? We just spent 5 minutes on the Caves 1. What on earth is happening? You know, here's the thing. If your mom is always nice to you... I gotta let my son out. I accidentally woke him up. If your mom is always nice to you, like my mom is always overly nice to me, which I'm not complaining about. Thank you for the orbital. It's not an HP upgrade, which would be very helpful as well, but it's an orbital at least. We can do something with that. We can start walking into enemies. My mom is always insanely nice to me. If I went to my parents' house and my mom said, "Hi, honey, nice to see you. By the way, that sweater makes you look like a piece of crap," I would be like, first off, I would be like, "Mom, is everything okay? Like, it sounds like you're under a lot of stress right now." But I would also put a lot more weight on her comment. I would be like, you know what? I'd try to get a second opinion. I'd be like, does this sweater make me look like a piece of crap? Because she would never say something like that. On the other hand, you know, if you know some negative people and they're like, you know, I don't really like the way that sweater makes you look. You're like, yeah, what else is new? You complain about 35 different things a day. How am I supposed to know whether this is serious or if this is just you being, you know, buying into your own identity of guy who hates everything, you know? That's why I've given you the keys to the kingdom if you really want to ruin a YouTuber's life or a Twitch streamer or really probably like a friend, anything really. What you do is not come out of the gate and be like, I hate you, you bald baby. What you do, because they'll just write you off as a troll then. What you do instead is spend several years ingratiating yourselves into their community, make sure they know your username and know that you're a force for positivity in the community. Maybe subscribe to them on Twitch. Donate. Give some gift subs out. And then many years later, just write a scathing comment. That will shake them to the core. I promise. That's the ticket right there. Okay, so I am gonna use my orbital for just about everything here. And I think this run, by the way, is absolutely horrible, except things unrelated to our DPS are really good. I don't like not knowing where our HP is at, I will admit that. But we have Satanic Bible, which is... I think you can make an argument that Satanic Bible is actually the best spacebar item all around. Like, in almost every situation, Satanic Bible has incredible impact on your ability to win a run. Please be dead, dude. I mean, we also have Dark Bum, but, like, I'm just trying to build a moment here. We also have a lot of money, but we also have BOGO bombs, which could actually be really useful. Okay, that's a lot of HP. But what we need more than anything else is damage. And again, look, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I think that Isaac, it's just in a weird spot right now. And it's one of those things, you know, if you can shave, or if you do shave, I should say, you relate to this. Sometimes I shave, I do my once over, and I go, I've shaved completely. This is, my shaving experience is done. Then Kate and I will, like, leave the house, and she'll look at me once we're out of razor range, and she'll be like, hey, you missed a spot. This is not a joke, by the way, but one time we went to IKEA, and this is not her fault. In fact, it's almost not even my fault, because when we got home, I tried to shave that spot, and the hair was like, I'm not going. It took extra special care. Hold on, Tomo wants to come in. Hello, Tomo. Welcome. We got to IKEA, and she was like, hey, you missed a spot shaving, and it makes you look like you have a little tiny Hitler mustache. And I was like, well, okay, that's a real problem. And then I had already, after I had shaved at home, I had looked at myself in the mirror and everything looked right, you know. And then I, looked at myself in the mirror in IKEA, and sure enough, it was not like, it was just a little stubble, but it was really apparent, especially silhouetted, with the fact that the rest of my face was relatively clean shaven. Why did we take damage on that? I'm confused. Okay, so that was our top level HP here. Anyway, the point is, you don't notice it. And then you notice it so much more after that fact. You know what I mean? Maybe the fact that we have called out Isaac so many times now for this exact problem has led to us seeing it. Maybe even more than is fair. But, you know, we've had so many runs recently that, to be honest with you, just play into the exact same narrative of there's too many items in the game that do nothing for you. And it is, to some extent, kind of compromising the fun. So, again, I want to be clear. I love Isaac. I love it on the level of, like, you know, a little bit of balance change is not gonna ruin it for me. But I also, you know, in the interest of just being honest, I can't deny the fact that, you know, we seem to be having more runs than ever that are just like, hey, you know, you got nothing. We have 15 rate of fire, 2.8 damage on the 4th floor. And it's not like we've, you know, crapped the bed. It's a bizarre thing. The game has changed in some strange ways. So I think we should buy heavy here and, you know, hope to use that as leverage to get even better in the future. We should probably use our money to do it. I don't think we care about restock right now. Blank card is tempting. I'm gonna level with you. I think we need red candle. Even though Satanic Bible is extremely good. I will just buy this for a random item. Even though Satanic Bible is extremely good, I think we need the damage. Oh, I wanted Sackboy. More than we need the HP. I think we will buy the keys. I think we will buy the bombs. I think we will check this card.
Judgment.
I don't know where we stand on HP, so I'm just going to go with the better deal with the devil chance. Oh, it's not even a better deal with the devil chance, but whatever. Okay, red candle, it solves our exact problem pretty much. But it's still, you know, you'd like to see some actual damage at some point on this run. Just a touchy. What a shot. We ended up hitting, but at first we missed every enemy. That's comical. Anyway. No. Don't worry about it, bro. You got nothing to worry about. What am I talking about? I don't know, man. Like, I went after we left IKEA. By the way, I shaved. But again, so there's just, you know, everybody's hair grows in different ways. There's just parts of your face that sometimes don't respond to the razor as well as other parts. Like, I got a little patch on my neck. Every time I shave, This one little part on my neck always looks like I did shave it, but I shaved it like a day earlier than the rest. Like, it's just a little bit longer. It's just because of the way the hair grows, and unfortunately, for whatever reason, I had a disproportionate amount. No deal, dude. Disproportionate amount of hair in what I would describe as maybe the worst possible region to have a disproportionate amount of facial hair. But I went home and sorted it out. That's the important part. I'll tell you, wouldn't have gotten the chili pepper on that day. But I think, you know, that's why user reviews are... I don't know, do you like... If I'm gonna build a bit here, we might as well go the whole way. Sometimes I do think the democratization of, like, you know, opinions on the internet, it's kind of screwed people up. Myself included. And I'm working on getting back from it. Like, my whole... Oh, this is really good. Small Rock, I'm begging you. For, you know, I got my first computer in, like, 1995. I got the internet maybe in 1996. You know, I was 8 years old. I've grown up in a world largely with the internet, and where the internet has changed, like, drastically year over year. And for, like, a decade, maybe a decade and a half, I was nothing but enthusiastic. I was like, this is amazing. It's connecting people the world over. And it is, you know? Like, you know, there are most people in the world, at least, especially if you're, like, watching this video, you probably have, you know, met close friends, maybe even romantic partners via the internet. And it is not seen as weird, you know, to be like, oh yeah, my best friend lives like 5 states away or something like that. You know, back in the day, you'd be like, oh, how'd you meet? You're like, oh, we met playing, you know, World of Warcraft. You know, it's maybe not the most common meeting story, even to this day, but 10 years ago, you'd be like, whoa, that's wild. Now, you're like, that's a pretty common situation, you know? It's become very normalized, and that's very cool. Internet has created a ton of positivity, don't get me wrong. You know, and the rise of marginalized groups having their voices heard on this volume, you know, for maybe the first time in North American history. I can't speak for the rest of the world, but, you know, I do want to say history, but I just... It's one of those situations where my desire to not err with ambiguous verbiage might lead me to understate the weight of something. So I apologize for that. But on top of that, every day, I'm just also reminded that, like, maybe the human mind is not yet ready to cope with having thousands and thousands of largely anonymous opinions broadcast to you on a regular basis. You know? I think I kind of peaked in terms of connectedness. I don't know when, probably in like 2012, you know? I was like, man, the internet is amazing. Now I'm like, the internet is cool as long as you do the right stuff on the internet. But once I'm like done with the internet, I think I want to just start, I want to make like my own bakery. I'm realizing now where, you know, not an exit strategy, but, you know, I'm sure that, like, you know, if you fantasize about everybody, I'm being very careful about how I phrase this because I already have like a dream job. But if I'm ever like, if I ever decide, you know, I'm done with the internet, but I still want to continue working, or I'm done making YouTube videos, but I still want to continue working, I need to find something that is menial tasks repeated over and over and over. I gotta start baking bread. By the way, this is, I'm pretty sure most bakers don't get into the field for this exact reason. Most bakers are probably like, I like making bread. It's delicious. I'm like, I have no idea if I like making bread, but all of my heuristics and analysis point to the fact that I would enjoy doing menial tasks that provide material gain. And also, you know, on a smaller scale, if that makes sense. My bread, I have no idea if it would be any good. But would I enjoy kneading the dough? I think I would. Not right now, I'm busy, but, you know, in general. Oh, good. The mom transformation. I guess you're not what I needed. We have 2 item rooms here, recall. It's just, you know, my 2 cents. I like parts of the internet. I hate parts of the internet. But in general, you know, I'm the victim of my own idiocy at times as well. Like, I tweeted, like, I didn't really like Joker that much. And then, you know, people took that as an invitation to be like, here's why your opinion of Joker doesn't matter. And I'm like, brother, with all due respect, I have no idea who you are. Like, it might surprise you, but I'm not suggesting you're any less important than I am. All I'm suggesting is you clearly care more about my opinion of Joker than I care about yours. If you enjoyed the movie, that's cool, don't get me wrong. But I did not tweet, hey, Twitter, tell me how you thought Joker was. I said, hey, Twitter, I didn't like Joker. But at the same time, you should also be aware, if you are tweeting, hey, I didn't like Joker, you are asking other people how they felt about Joker. You can't, you know, in the social media parlance, that's opening a conversation about Joker. Otherwise, why would you tweet it? As I see it all the time, from people that they tweet politics stuff, which is their right, by the way. I'm not suggesting that they should just be quiet about it, but they'll tweet politics stuff, and then someone will, you know, disagree with them. And then they'll get into like a little argument. And then, you know, one person will say like, well, I don't really want to argue about it. Well, you're wrong, brother. You do want to argue about it. That's the unwritten contract of social media, is you're opening yourself to arguments. I'm not saying you should feel compelled to debate everybody who disagrees with you on Twitter. But, you know, I think it makes more sense when it comes to movies, because politics is obviously a much more serious issue. But what I really should have done, if I didn't want to be inundated with people being like, so let me get this straight, Midsommar is a 9.63 on your scale, and Joker is merely a 4.82? Well, can you explain to me by which you reach the machinations of your derivation? Then I should have just have turned to my wife and said, I didn't really like it that much, and then let that be that. Oh, dude, we're going to get a Sweet Tears upgrade here, too, thanks to Dark Prince's Crown. That's what I'm learning. You know, I'm learning that I am my own worst enemy on social media. Not that I invite that kind of, you know, I don't court a lot of controversy to begin with, but, you know, when I do end up being frustrated with social media, after I get unfrustrated with it, I do a little deep dive and go, did I cause my own frustration? And the answer is like almost 100% of the time, yes. Sir? Great dodge. Give me the deal. Give me the deal on this one. I want it. Truly, madly, deeply do. No, we can't take White Pony, unfortunately, I think. You're not going to think I'm serious here, but we could still lose this run. Help me. I think we could lose this run way more easily than you might realize as well. Right now is not that bad, but I think if it goes wrong, it's going to go wrong quickly. So I mean, I don't want to go off on a rant here, but we have 2.7 damage on Utero 1. Like, what's wrong with the game? What happened? This did not used to be a regular occurrence. It used to be if you had 2.8 damage on the womb, you would, you know, tweet and be like, what the heck? This is crazy. And people would be like, oh my god, what a cursed run. Now people are like, yep, that's the game. That's, it happens. Don't worry about it too much. That's my perception of it, at least. Anyway, I don't want to sound too negative. I'm not a negative person, to be honest. I'm a positive person who complains a lot about mundane stuff. But I do want it to be clear that when I complain about mundane stuff, on no level am I like, this is, you know, the most important issue in the world right now. Like, the 2 bones I like to pick the most is the self-checkout at our grocery store, which still, we had an experience with it last night that continues to boggle my mind, and Coca-Cola Freestyle machines. I finally got Kate to admit the Coca-Cola Freestyle machine is just an inferior system. It was like the most proud I've ever been of my own rhetoric and nonsense. We were at a fast food establishment. She turned to me and said, "You know what? You're right. This freestyle machine is just not as good as having a physical button you can press that actually responds when you press it instead of the lag. And the milk and honey of getting like, hey, it's Fanta with a little strawberry flavor is not worth it." I was like, honey, those are the sweetest words you've ever said to me. Next to I do, it was, first off, you're right, is just the two sweetest words in the English language, followed by my exact reasoning for why the Coca-Cola freestyle machine is garbage from an era where we fetishized touchscreens before they had the fidelity to actually, you know, work as well as physical apparatuses. But anyway, I still like... We got groceries last night, went to the self-checkout. Everything went fine at the self-checkout except for the fact that after we were like, hey, I'd like to pay for my groceries, they were like, please wait for somebody to come by. And then that somebody came by and checked the bag. And by checked the bag, to make sure we weren't stealing anything, I mean she did not look at the bag at all. Instead, she just punched in her, like, employee ID so that we could actually check out. You know when people talk about security theater? You know when you go to the airport and, like, you know, I'm gonna be very careful about the way that I phrase this. It's a sensitive topic, but, like, you know, there's been times when I've been at the airport where I've been like, if I was trying to get something onto this plane, they would have found it, you know? I've been swabbed. I've had, you know, my shoes checked. I've gone through the 3D imaging machine, you know, hundreds of times. Rip me, I guess, by the way. And I'm like, this is effective security. Not that I necessarily, you know, think it's necessary. But then there's been other times where I've been like, dude, you literally just... Like, do you ever have a security do the pat down, but they don't actually pat you down? They just kind of like run your hands, or run their hands around your body without actually touching you? I'm like, that... That's security theater. And that's how I feel when I'm at the grocery store. The self-checkout. I'm like, if I was stealing, I would have gotten away with it. All you've done is punish the paying consumer by forcing them to wait longer to pay for their groceries. In a way, you know how I see it? I kind of see it as like a workers rising up thing. They're like, you know, automation is gonna, like, grocery cashier jobs are probably, along with transportation, one of those things that people look to as like a job that's easily replaceable via automation. And the workers are going, nah. We're gonna make it we're gonna make the self-checkout so inconvenient that people are gonna willfully choose to use the teller. And I'm like, you know what? Go get it. Bleed the system dry. It is a little bit of an inconvenience for the end consumer, but you know what? Secure the bag and secure my bag, and I'll just complain about it on YouTube while also being in solidarity. More power to you. Hey! Please, God, I'm begging you for a DPS-related deal with the devil. Don't give me Krampus. I'll just close the game. The shovel? What is wrong with you? Isaac, are you feeling okay? Like, I just don't understand. I just don't understand, dude. Anyway, that was our day yesterday. Went to the grocery store. Got some delicious ramen. Dude, if you're asking me, you know, what's my favorite Japanese food? We eat a lot of Japanese food. I'll tell you, the reason we eat so much Japanese food is twofold. It's threefold. We live in a city with a great Japanese food scene. That's one. Number two, I like Japanese food. Number two, my wife loves Japanese food. And number four, where are we at here? I'm very easygoing about dinner time. So sometimes, you know, my wife's like, how about Japanese for dinner? And I'm like, you know what? Sure. I never say like, oh, last Tuesday we had Japanese and I really had my heart set on a baked potato and blah blah. You know, I'm pretty much just open to whatever for dinner most of the time. Don't toss it. Don't toss this one away. Tinted rocks. Thank you. But if we're having like a what's your favorite Japanese food contest, question, etc., etc., I think I gotta go ramen over sushi. It's close. You know, I like a lot of other Japanese foods. Like, you know, I like okonomiyaki. It's a little mayo heavy for me from time to time. It's not health related. I just, you know, sometimes that much mayonnaise, I just find it kind of gross. But sometimes I'm like, oh, this is hitting the spot. Greed, huh? I'm trying to think of what else. You know, even just like a what's the word I'm looking? Like a donburi, you know, like some kind of meat plus rice dish. I'm down with, but I think I gotta go ramen over sushi. It's close, and it depends on the day. But I think I'm more in the ramen camp. I gotta tell you, you know, we live in a very influencer-driven city as well. I see, every time I go out to eat, I see Zoomers and Millennials. Very rarely Boomers, because when they take photos of food, they usually use their iPad, which is just hilarious. But I see Zoomers and Millennials taking like really elaborately staged photos of their food, which I'm sure they're posting on their Instagram accounts to be like, check it out. I ate at Saku, the new donkasu place in Vancouver. But sometimes people have asked me for restaurant recommendations in Vancouver. I gotta tell you, I'm not giving any more out, okay? Kate and I, and it's a chain now, but we're talking, you know, a few years ago when at least in North America there were only like a few of these. Okay, I mean, I'll try this, I guess. There's an amazing ramen joint. It's called Ramen Danbo. You may also know it by its other name, Danbo. You may also know it by its mispronunciation, Danbo. And it's very popular and is extremely good. You know, Kate and I used to go to Danbo. It would be like 9:30, 10 o'clock. We'd walk right in. There would be people in the restaurant because it's always had like a good reputation. But you know, you would never really have to wait more than like 5 minutes, and then, you know, when you order, the food comes out because it's, you know, broth plus noodles. Comes out in like, you know, under 10 minutes. You're like in and out of the restaurant in half an hour. Something happened. I mean, I told people about it. I'm not suggesting it's entirely me, obviously, but you know, the word has come out that Danbo is like, oh, it's the best ramen in the city. Tourists, locals, yada yada yada, have swarmed it. The line outside of the restaurant is typically like half an hour to 40 minutes now, and even though it's our favorite place, we don't go anymore because it's just too much. I mean, I don't mind waiting like a half an hour for dinner in a lot of situations, but at the same time, when it used to take half an hour front to back, and now it takes half an hour to even get inside, that's a rude awakening. You know, that's different than just, hey, it's a once in a lifetime thing. Do you want to wait half an hour for this? So I'm willfully, for my own self-interest, just gonna start giving bad restaurant recommendations. I'm gonna, you know, it's just what you gotta do in today's modern Yelp and TripAdvisor focused world. You gotta start lying to people when they come to your city. Instead of being like, hey, go check out Danbo. Oh, if you're down on Robson, you got the cash to splash a little bit, go check out Forage. It's amazing. Instead we're gonna, Red Robin's pretty good. Why don't you go to the Red Robin? But we already have a Red Robin in our city. Yeah, but is your Red Robin on the second floor of a clothing store? Doubt it. I doubt it a great deal. Thank you. Thank you. So I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I'm glad we've found some conversational topics to mine, because, like, apart from that, this has been absolutely, like, one of the most insulting Isaac runs I've had in a long time. To start with 2.79 damage is one thing. To be at 2.79 damage on the Cathedral is the kind of thing that it makes you rethink some of your priorities in life. You know what I mean? I think if I were being more positive, you could almost frame this as like, you know, isn't it amazing how even when you get no offensive statistic-related items in Isaac, you can still manage to win via committee? Sure. I mean, if you want to say that's amazing, that's cool. But, you know, I don't really play games for the most part to say, oh, that's amazing. I play them to, you know, have fun. Like an idiot, I guess, instead of trying to find, like, a higher level intellectual explanation for my enjoyment. I guess I'm just a dummy like that. But there's still, you know, there's still a chance. We got 5 luck. This is where Isaac does the late stage turn, and it says, you know what? Here's a bunch of damage ups, so that you forget about the fact that you've been mistreated for the whole run. And we do have our map, at least. We have to, I think. It is a large damage increase, which I respect and appreciate. I think we have to forget me now. Just to... I know we lose Red Candle. That's terrible, by the way. We also lose mapping, but I'm so desperate for the freaking items. And it was well worth it, obviously. Got a lot of really, really valuable stuff here. And we don't need Hagalaz here. Alrighty, dude. Well, no point in wasting our time. Might as well get right down to it with one of the most annoying rooms in the entire game. So we do get a nice all stats up now when we stand inside of this poop, but poop's not gonna last forever. You know, again, I want to be very, very, very clear. It is not that Isaac has had harder runs. It's really that Isaac has sapped the will to win. It's had so many runs that are just like kind of ineffectual that it makes you not even care about winning, which is even worse. Like a hard run where we gotta play well to win, that's one thing. A run that's just like, well, hold on. Amazing. A run that's just like, you know, whether you win or not, you know, you're gonna leave it with a frown on your face is the different story. I gotta say, dude, like, thank God for freaking Fanny Pack. Please give me one more item here so I can do something with it. Okay, I mean, we can do something with it. Strength. 2 of clubs. Not really that relevant. Leave the bombs. No, don't leave the bombs. Who cares? We don't need sulfuric tears. So we'd rather do this. It's an all stats up, I suppose. I feel like, you know, I want it to be known that I have no interest in engaging in like a campaign to rebalance Isaac. I just want to have fun playing the game. I'm like a begrudging lobbyist right now. Feel like I maybe am just a bulwark. There's something is askew in the balance of this game right now. And I don't know if it's uniquely askew due to whatever you would describe my playstyle as being. But, you know, if you agree with me, you should click the like button. That's all I'm saying. Because this is... I could use your support. on a moral level. On a confidence level. On many, many different levels. No spiders, brother. Okay, that's... One spider is okay. Strength is going to be very weird for us, because it's going to ruin Dark Prince's crown. which is going to be an all stats down, but it's also going to give us an all stats up, which will then be rebalanced by Libra. Dude, I'm just like, come on. Work with me here. I probably shouldn't have gotten rid of Red Candle, but you can understand my methodology. Why not take a chance, you know, to try to get more items? I also want to say we have 5 luck, and yet we're not getting as many chests as I would like. I hope that's going to change, because, you know, we've been leaning on this idea of the luck stat for a little bit here. And it's starting to look like increasingly unlikely that we're going to be able to find much out of that, unfortunately. I deserve to get hit there. I'll level with you. Shouldn't have stood there. I mean, if you're going to kill me, just kill me. Donk! Well, that was horrible. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time. Ha ha ha.